me ask you something raw, something real. How much longer are you going to drag around the dead weight of the weaker version of you? You know who I'm talking about? The one that hits snooze, breaks promises, avoids the mirror, fears rejection, settles for less, and hides behind a mask of, I'm fine. That version of you, it's not your future. It's your present. And the only way forward is death. You have to kill that version of yourself. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. Because every moment you entertain weakness, you rob your future. Every excuse you cling to is a nail in the coffin of your greatness. So if there's even a spark of hunger left in you, if there's still a voice deep inside screaming, I was made for more, then stay with me. Don't check out. Don't numb out. Lean in. Listen close. Because this isn't just a speech. This is a funeral for the old you and a resurrection of the powerful, relentless, unshakable you that's been waiting to rise. Let's go to war together. You want to change your life? You want to evolve, rise, become unstoppable? Then you better start with the hardest truth. You can't transform what you're still lying about. You have to look yourself dead in the eye and call out the coward that's been running the show. Yeah, I said it, the coward. That soft, scared, excuse-making version of you that's been whispering garbage into your ear for far too long. That voice that says, maybe tomorrow, or what if I fail, or they'll laugh at me. That version of you is not your ally. It's the anchor holding your life down. You want to kill that weak version of yourself? Then face the mirror, not with filters, not with fake smiles, but with brutal, relentless honesty. And I'm not talking about beating yourself up or feeling ashamed. I'm talking about owning the truth. You have to stop pretending you're doing okay when deep down, you know you've been playing small. You know you've been hiding. You know you've been avoiding the discomfort that real growth demands. And I get it. Comfort feels safe, familiar. But you didn't come here to be comfortable. You came here to become something greater. That weak version of you thrives in shadows. It survives when you pretend you're fine. But when you expose it, when you call it out, when you look it in the face and say you don't get to drive anymore, that's when you take your power back. That's when the shift begins. Because now you're not reacting, now you're choosing. That weak self doesn't die all at once. It dies every time you choose to do the thing you used to avoid. Every time you show up when you'd rather hide. Every time you speak truth when fear tells you to stay silent. Every time you move forward without permission. You want to become unstoppable? Then start by ending the negotiations. Stop making deals with your fear. Stop making friends with your laziness. That part of you doesn't need comfort. It needs closure. And you don't need more time. You need more truth. You don't need another podcast, another book, another motivational clip. You need to get real about the version of you that's been stalling, sabotaging, shrinking, because you can't slay what you're not willing to face. So stand up. Not physically, internally. Rise in your standards, rise in your mindset, rise in your expectations of what you'll no longer tolerate from yourself. Let this be the moment you stop running from the mirror and start using it as your battlefield. Because the war doesn't begin out there. It begins in here. Right now, the voice in your head, the one that says you're not ready, you're not good enough, what if they don't accept you? What if you fail? That voice is not your protector. It's your prison guard. And here's the thing. You've been negotiating with it like it's got something valuable to say. You've been sitting at the table with it, reasoning with it, listening to it like it's a wise old mentor, but it's not. It's the weak version of you in disguise trying to keep you small. It's fear dressed up as logic. And every time you listen, every time you hesitate, every time you buy into that story, even for a second, you give away your power. You cannot build a powerful life while making peace with weak beliefs. You can't rise into your purpose while still bowing down to the old stories that say you're limited. Let me be real with you. There is no amount of success, no relationship, no opportunity that will ever outrun a belief system that says you're not enough. You have to kill that script, rip it out at the root, because what you believe, what you deeply believe about yourself will set the ceiling on your life. And most people, they don't even realize they're still operating on beliefs they didn't even choose. They were handed down. From a teacher who doubted them, a parent who criticized more than they praised, a world that constantly told them to be realistic, to play it safe, to fit in. And now here you are, grown up in age, but still a child in belief, carrying someone else's limits like they belong to you. They don't. They never did. You want to kill the weak version of you? Then stop reasoning with your limitations. You don't argue with a virus, you delete it. You don't debate with chains, you break them. And you've got to start replacing those old beliefs with ones that are forged in truth, not fear. That means every single day reminding yourself, I am not my past. I am not my failures. I am not their opinion. I am not my fear. You rewire that mind until it's no longer defaulting to doubt, but defaulting to power. And it won't happen overnight. This is a battle you fight daily because those weak beliefs, they're stubborn. They'll whisper to you when you're tired. They'll tap you on the shoulder when things get hard, but you don't listen anymore. You recognize the voice, you see it for what it is, a lie, and you choose differently. So stop playing small, stop negotiating with fear, decide who you are, and then back it up with action, with repetition, with relentless belief until that old version of you has no oxygen left to breathe. Because the only story worth living is the one where you write the ending. Let's talk about comfort, because that's where the weak version of you lives. It hides behind what feels good, what's easy, what's predictable. That version of you loves the snooze button. It loves scrolling. It loves the idea of change, but not the cost of it. But let me tell you the truth. Nothing extraordinary ever came out of a comfort zone. Nothing. Every breakthrough, every transformation, every moment that redefines who you are, it all happens on the other side of pain, discomfort, and uncertainty. That's where growth lives. That's where the strong version of you is forged. You want to kill the weak you? Then you've got to stop feeding it. Stop feeding it comfort, instant gratification, avoidance. Starve it, cut off its supply. Because every time you lean into what's comfortable instead of what's necessary, you're feeding the part of you that wants to stay small. And that part of you is seductive. It'll justify everything. It'll tell you you worked hard, take it easy, or you got time, or maybe later. And if you listen just once, that voice gets stronger. But when you start choosing the thing that stretches you instead of soothes you, the power shifts. You take control. Growth hurts. Let's just be real about that. It's supposed to. You're ripping apart old patterns, rewiring your nervous system, stepping into a version of yourself that doesn't even exist yet, that's not supposed to feel safe. It's supposed to feel raw, unfamiliar, uncomfortable. But that pain, that stretch, that pressure, that's what builds the muscle. You don't build mental strength by staying emotionally cozy. You build it by getting up when it's hard, speaking up when it's scary, pushing forward when your body and mind are screaming for you to stop. And the beautiful part is, the more discomfort you embrace, the more you start to feel alive. Because comfort might feel good in the moment, but over time, it breeds numbness. It dulls your edge, drains your hunger. But when you start training yourself to chase what challenges you, to say yes to the cold shower, the tough conversation, the extra rep, the early wake up, you light something up inside, something ancient, something primal, that fire, that drive, that unstoppable force. That's who you really are underneath all the layers of fear and convenience. The weak you is allergic to discomfort. The strong you feeds on it. So every single day you've got a choice. Feed the fire or feed the fear. Do the thing that hurts now and heals later, or do the thing that soothes now and suffocates later. One road builds the warrior, The other buries it. So if you want to evolve, stop seeking ease, seek edge, seek pressure, seek the stretch. Because when you feed the fire long enough, you become the flame. If you want to kill the weak version of yourself, then you have to get brutally honest about your standards, because that version of you is built on low ones. It's not that broken, it's that somewhere along the way you lowered the bar. You decided that showing up late was okay, that quitting when it got hard was acceptable, that good enough was enough. And maybe you didn't do it all at once. It happened slowly, one compromise at a time, one excuse here, one shortcut there. And before you know it, you've constructed a life around tolerating things you once swore you'd never settle for. That's what the weak self feeds on, tolerance. It survives because you let it. You've let that version of you keep walking through the door each day, sit at the table, and call the shots. And why? Because it's easier than raising your standards. It's easier than declaring no more. Because when you raise your standards, you raise your responsibility. Stop blaming, stop pointing, and start owning. You start demanding more from yourself, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. And that's scary, but that's also where the power lives. Your life right now is a reflection of what you've been willing to tolerate. Not what you've dreamed about, not what you've hoped for, what you've tolerated. And when you realize that, it hits different. Because suddenly, it's not about what the world owes you or what others failed to give you. It's about what you've allowed, what you've accepted, what you've called normal. But normal is killing your potential. Normal is why you feel stuck. Normal is why you keep circling the same problems, the same patterns, year after year. So here's what you do. You burn the old blueprint. You stop living by the outdated map that someone else drew for your life. You throw out the idea that just because something is common, it's acceptable. You redraw the line. You say, this is what I expect from myself now. This is the level I play at. This is the standard I live by, no matter what. And you make it non-negotiable. You stop letting your circumstances dictate your identity. You start letting your identity dictate your circumstances. That's the shift. And it's not about perfection. It's about consistency. It's about refusing to go to bed with regret because you let yourself off the hook again. It's about looking in the mirror and seeing someone you respect, not because life's been easy, but because you've held the line when it wasn't. You want real change? You want to kill the weaker version of yourself for good? Then raise your standards so high that the old you can't breathe at that altitude. Let me tell you something that most people don't want to hear. Your weak self isn't going to just walk away quietly. It's not going to tap out because you read a quote or watched a motivational video. It's persistent. It's practiced. It's been with you for years, maybe your whole life. It knows your habits, your triggers, your shortcuts, your justifications. That version of you is wired in, and if you're not training every single day to overpower it, it's going to keep winning. And it doesn't win with a knockout. It wins by wearing you down. It wins in inches. One skipped workout, one broken promise, one I'll start tomorrow. You don't even notice it happening until you wake up and you're nowhere near the life you were meant to live. So how do you kill it? Discipline. Relentless, unapologetic, unbreakable discipline. Not when it's convenient, not when you feel motivated. Every single day. That weak version of you isn't afraid of your goals, your vision board, your Instagram captions. It's afraid of the you who wakes up early even when it's cold, who works the reps even when no one's watching, who speaks truth even when their voice shakes, who honors the ritual, not the mood. Because when you train like that, you're not just building strength, you're building identity. You're reminding yourself with every action who the hell you really are. And this isn't just about the gym or grinding 24/7. I'm talking about full spectrum training. Mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. You've got to fortify every part of yourself, because the weak self will look for cracks. It'll creep in through tired thoughts, undisciplined emotions, neglected values. So what do? You build routines that sharpen you. You set standards that stretch you. You commit to rituals that keep you grounded and focused and hungry. You read things that elevate your mind. You challenge your beliefs. You move your body not just to look good, but because strength is a statement. You sit with your soul in silence and reconnect to something deeper than noise and distraction. You prime yourself every day for war, because that's what this is. This is a war between who you were and who you're becoming. And the battlefield is your daily choices. There is no shortcut. There is no hack. You either train or you decay. You either sharpen the sword or you dull it with neglect. This is life and death, of potential, of power, of purpose. The weak version of you doesn't care if you occasionally push hard. It banks on you eventually backing off. But when you train relentlessly, when you hardwire discipline into your identity, the weak you has no place left to hide. Because discipline doesn't just shape you, it replaces you. There comes a moment in your life when you have to stop trying to fix the old version of you and start building the one you were born to be. The weak version, that's not you anymore. That's a shell, a survival mode, a temporary identity that helped you get through some tough chapters, but it was never meant to be the whole story. And now it's time to bury that version and step into who you really are. Not the victim, not the scared one, not the one who waits for permission or plays it safe or hides behind pain. No, it's time to become the warrior. And make no mistake, this is an identity shift. A total rewrite, because the weak version of you wakes up every day thinking life happens to them. The warrior wakes up knowing life happens through them. The weak self reacts. The warrior responds. The weak self needs everything to be perfect to take action. The warrior takes action and makes it work. It's a different frequency, a different presence. And it's already inside you. You just haven't been living from it. You don't need to become something you're not. You need to remember what you've forgotten. You were born powerful, born creative, born resilient. But then life started handing you labels. Too much, too little, not smart enough, not strong enough, not worthy. You started to believe them. Layer after layer, you buried your power under fear, shame, doubt. And now you've got a choice. Keep living out that old story or tear the damn script up and write your own. You kill the weak version of yourself by refusing to answer to that identity anymore. You stop responding to fear like it owns you. You stop waiting for clarity and start moving in faith. You stop saying, what if it doesn't work? And start saying, what if I don't quit? Because you're not here to blend in. You're here to break cycles, to lead, to rise, to create a ripple in this world that echoes far beyond you. It's not about being fearless. It's about facing fear and walking anyway. It's not about being unbreakable. It's about being breakable and getting up stronger. And the moment you decide to stop identifying as the broken, the tired, the doubting version of you, that's when the shift happens. That's when the power comes rushing back in. Because identity is everything. You rise to the level of who you believe you are. So decide, not tomorrow, not when it's convenient, right now. Decide to be the one who doesn't flinch, who doesn't fold, who doesn't beg life to be easier, because you were built to be stronger. Stand in that version, walk in it, speak from it, lead from it, because the warrior in you isn't waiting to be found, it's waiting to be chosen.